Wasabi Gangsters, it's me, Chance Dillon, here to talk to you about books. All right, guys, I actually got a lot of reading done this last week, which felt so good, and there's actually a good amount of writing in there as well. Wow, I think my camera is a little on an angle there, so we're going to try and fix that. Hopefully it makes sense. Anyways, so what did I finish reading? Well, let's just get to the Throne of Glass out of the gate. I finished Throne of Glass, so I have Crown of Midnight right here. I'm just going to jump right into it. I think I'm going to try and binge a series. This one is relatively easy to read through by way of it's pretty succinct, and it is really good storytelling, I'll say. I do see how people can walk into this if they want to hate it, but otherwise I actually very much enjoyed the story of Throne of Glass. If I'm comparing it to, which by the way, I actually just think that this is epic fantasy. Period. Throne of Glass is epic fantasy, period. And which makes me very curious about A Court of Thorns and Roses. I know that they're different. I know they have differences, but overall, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that story. Throne of Glass was good, very good. Whereas, I read Fourth Wing and I thought it was fine. I thought it was a good book, good story. Whereas the second book I didn't love so much. But just generally as an epic fantasy, I really did enjoy Throne of Glass. So I'm gonna get right to Crown of Midnight. Hopefully I can get to Ship of Magic soon as far as the TBR is concerned. Probably in the pipeline. I actually do need to decide what I'm reading next. But before I do that, let's talk about I finished The Crippled God. I finished Malazan Book of the Fallen. Holy shit. What a journey. This was so epic. The last two chapters obviously were freaking insane, like every Stephen Erikson book. My goodness. Just the emotional beats that we hit on this, the character journeys that we went on. We got closure with some characters, not so much with others, but it's my understanding that other series will sort of, in this universe, sort of will sum up those stories, I believe, which I'm really excited to get to at some point. And this does leave me wanting more. By way of that, more of this world, more of this universe in some really sick, twisted way. But just the human aspect of the things that came together, the convergences at the end of this, the overarching themes, and just the literal compassion that we see on so many levels hit in this story that can really only be done in epic fantasy because of just how deep this can go in this way, at the very least. I'm sure there's other genres it can happen in, but my goodness, I will. If you guys want a Malazan ranking video, let me know in the comments below. I've also been thinking about doing a Sun Eater one as well because they are my two favorite series right now. And I've finished them relatively. Obviously, I know there's more to get to in Malazan outside of the Book of the Fallen, but I may do a ranking video if you guys would like, which might help me run through some memories of these books that I've read. I think if I had, I'll ruin it right now. I don't know. I'm really in a fight between my number one, with The Crippled God being number one. Just after reading this, it makes me appreciate books earlier in the series so much more, books that I had already appreciated. So it's hard for me to say that this is my favorite right now, even with recency bias. I mean, you have 10 books to build up to this, and so factoring that in, of course, yeah, it's going to be my favorite. But overall, if I just had to think about my reading experience overall and just the journey I went on, there's one book that stands out. So if you guys want to see a ranking video for Malazan, my Malazan Book of the Fallen rankings, let me know. I did read Knight of Knives in the middle of this, which I did think added to the journey as a whole. I will be reading Ian E.C. Esselmont's books in the future. I don't know if I'm going to jump right into Return of the Crimson Guard now or wait. Let me know what you guys think, really, about that. And other than that, between going into Crown of Midnight, I'm obviously going to start reading that, but I do need another book beside it. And so I'm considering doing. I started the audiobook again for Red Country, restarted it because I had started it and didn't continue it, just for no other reason than I picked something else up. I think at the time, probably a Malazan book. So I'm thinking about getting into Red Country to finish out the First Law standalones. I'm considering starting Dark Age, starting Hyperion. I've never read Hyperion. I will be reading Empire of the Dawn as that's my next big book on the TBR in terms of finishing a series. And I do need to read Strength of the Few, and I will be reading Return to Edan as well. So deciding between Return to Edan and Empire of the Dawn, those are really the two that I need help figuring out right now. A part of me feels like it's going to be, I'm going to read faster through Empire of the Dawn for some reason. I just have that inkling. But that might be misguided. Mostly just because I think I've read Empire of the Damned more recently, so it feels like going right into Empire of the Dawn now would make a lot of sense. But let me know what you guys think. I'm actually I'm curious as to what my mood is, and so maybe you guys can help me figure it out in terms of my reading desires right now. Ship of Magic is on there. I will be diving into that, but I think I want to finish either Return to Edan or Empire of the Dawn first, or both. I think I want to finish both of those before I jump into Ship of Magic. And then I also, again, I want to decide, like, do I read Dark Age and Lightbringer? Do I just start, like, finish, catch up on Red Rising to the point where Red God is going to come out? Do I read Strength of the Few and continue my James Islington journey with that series? I'm really trying to decide right now. Or do I just bang out Red Country and finish those standalones? And that way I have the Age of Madness waiting for me on the other side. Let me know what you guys think. I'm just curious, just TBR spitballing here, okay? Other than that, I did not get to my Conan short stories. I'm really behind on the group read. They're over on the Discord, the Book Street Boys. You guys can go check it out in the description below. There is a group read of the short stories of Conan. I am so behind. That is one I'm just going to have to, like, catch up on fast. Otherwise, generally speaking. And then also I do want to get back to actually reading Elric of Melniboné. I did like that story. I had to finish that first volume, but those are more, I can kind of squeeze chapters into those if I really wanted to. The audiobooks are good enough for those for me to catch up. And Elric of Melniboné has Samuel Rowkin, who's just an incredible narrator. So I think I might pick that up periodically again. Oh, also King Sorrow was something I wanted to read to step away from fantasy, even though I know it's like sort of fantasy adjacent in some ways. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments on what I should read next. Let me know what you're reading right now in the comments down below. I also did, and guys, you guys were going to be proud of me. I read 2 or 3 chapters out of Berserk. We are up to, I think we're in volume 27. We're in volume 27 total. And this is not 27 of this is volume 9 of the deluxe editions, but volume 27 total of Berserk. We have Guts on this particular journey. We're getting some callbacks to the Golden Age arc, which is obviously amazing, just in terms of the emotional tie to Guts' character and sort of the things that are showing up in his life, because it actually sort of feels like he's been on this sort of autopilot survival mode, and that's registering with me, just returning to this universe again, this very dark universe. And we just got Guts just got introduced to a subsect, a group of people that are bringing back some raw memories, and we have an epic scene coming up here. I can already tell, and I think I'm gonna try to finish. I think I'll try and finish volume 27 before next week's video, because this has me really excited to continue. And then during that, I also picked up the 10th volume. You guys can see it down here, just to be ready to dive right back into that. So you guys know I'm actually reading these editions again, which feels good. It actually does feel good. It's sort of like a breath of fresh air. Which it's fun, so funny when I'm drafting. Now I'm going to get into my writing. So if you guys are just here for the reading, which just feels good that I'm sort of like back into a regular flow of my writing videos situation. If you guys are just here for the reading, I'm going to get into my writing now. The word count on book 3, the 3rd volume of the Mercy Saga, which is these 2 books right here. Mercy, Tears of the Fallen, Mercy, Ills of Fate. You can go to ChanceDillonAuthor.com, sign up to the newsletter. I do actual word counts to the word on Thursday nights. I will do it tonight. So if you see this video, go sign up before the newsletter comes out. Otherwise, you guys can catch those a week later over on my Patreon. And that'll be there anyway for you guys to see. But yeah, I like doing these weekly updates because it helps me really think about my writing process and how everything's going. And it is just so funny how much easier it is for me to read when I am drafting. It is insane. I don't know why that is. I think when my brain switched, like I have a switch in my brain now, which I always thought was so silly to say, but it's so true. When I'm in editing mode, I am thinking so much just about prose and line by line and word, and it's words, and it's really difficult for me to just sit down and enjoy a story, which kind of stinks because I thoroughly enjoy reading and I try to be a voracious reader generally, and so that's where audiobooks really come in. They really do help me in that way because I just am able to experience stories in that way. That said, having binged through the rest of Crippled God, I read the Crippled God very fast. Now that I'm thinking about it, that was probably one of the quicker Malazan reads I've had, and then also while reading side by side Throne of Glass, which is just like. I don't want to say palate cleanser, but it kind of is. It really is. The prose style is just so different from Erikson. The POV style is just so different from Erikson, which was kind of a relief. Even though they're in the same genre, it really did feel very very different and nice to just get a breath, even though there were some dark things covered in Throne of Glass. Which, by the way, I didn't even get into my thoughts of Throne of Glass, which actually feels kind of bad because I wanted to talk about it. I thought it was, other than saying it was very good, I'm going to take a quick break from the writing stuff real quick. Throne of Glass was really good. Also, the characters in that story, I'm enjoying getting to know them. There are some things with a specific trope that's bearable because it makes sense. Although it is a trope that I think a lot of people don't like. I think typically men don't like it. If I had to pin, generally, I'm generalizing here. I know, I understand that. And like, to be honest, like, it's not a trope I love either. But it makes sense why it works so well. And in this story, it is also making sense, and it's setting up to be something that is not just realistic, but also interesting. In a way that we get to see these characters grow, and then also things are being set up to challenge them, which I really, really like. I do think Sarah J. Maas is a really good storyteller based on my experience just reading the first book. And I'm actually really excited to get into the rest of the series. So, okay, put that all aside. No more Throne of Glass talk. About my writing, we're about 28,000 words in, and I do want to touch on the fact that this is the first time in a long time, being that it's my first time really just freshly drafting in a long time, ugly first drafting, where I'm able to sit down and like I deleted like 5,000 words of the stuff I've written, and the word count is like 28,000, which is crazy. Still, after that, and so getting into a scene here in particular, there is this arc of the story in book 3 that takes place somewhere familiar, is what I'll say, and we just have this very big shift that has happened in the world, and it is interesting to go in and problem solve and fill in that there are gaps for sure, but to fill them in and problem solve and get back to that is just so fulfilling. It's such a fun part of the writing process when you're drafting. Like, obviously I have to overcome the voice telling myself I suck before I sit down in the chair. That's like a very common thing. And I do, and then I sit down and I write. I'm like, okay, this is good, this is good, this is good. And not even necessarily that it's good, but you're really just trying to peel back the layers of the story, which is partly why I enjoy pantsing so much. It does become sort of like an outline and a plan generally, and I do have a plan of some things that I want to cover in this book specifically, let alone the rest of the series, of course. But there are some scenes that I really want to hit on, some places I want to put my characters to explore, and I'm figuring out how to get them there, and I'm figuring out ways to keep the relationships succinct, to keep them like they make sense. I think that's important. I don't know if succinct is maybe that was just redundant. But it's so fun to problem solve. That is like one of the biggest things I love about writing and drafting and creating is problem solving, especially when it comes to storytelling. It's like figuring out how things make sense. And to a way that feels like it's authentic and real, and man, it does create some really cool relationships between characters that I didn't know were going to exist before getting into this. And I just was working on a chapter last night that was so it was so cool to uncover and unveil this relationship that was occurring between these two characters, and just exactly the influence and the scale of that relationship and what it will mean for the further story and actually the current setting of the world. It is drastically changing, and a very important character in my head. It is drastically changing the way that they are in the world and who they have to be, and who they actually are themselves. And it's so interesting and fun, and just like, man, I cannot. I'm obviously very excited. So that's it, guys. I'm gonna leave you with that. Grateful, by the way, just like really quickly, we are like less than 15 copies away from hitting 4,000 copies, read out the door, whatever. It is insane, guys. We are 9 months from releasing Tears of the Fallen, the first book. Okay, we released Ill is the Fate on March 31st. Okay, and we are about to hit 4,000 copies sold. We don't even have an audiobook yet. Okay, oh man, and we got the Kirkus. Okay, these Kirkus editorial reviews. Let me explain it the way that it was explained to me. Okay, Kirkus is a very reputable editorial review space in the traditional publishing space. Indie authors can submit; they can pay. You pay a fee. An editor or whatever will read your book, A reviewer will read your book and critically analyze it. They will give you a review. It doesn't have to be good, which is why they do give you access to post or not post it. Because if you pay and it ends up being a bad review, they're like, okay, well, you should have the right to decide if you want it posted or not, because it might have implications. They have bad reviews, neutral reviews, good reviews. Then they have good reviews with what's called a get it recommendation, and then they have their Kirkus star, which I'm sure we've all seen on a book at some point. So with book 1, Tears of the Fallen, we got a get it recommendation. We didn't get a Kirkus star. We got a get it recommendation, which means it was a positive review, and they also recommended it. Which after doing some research in the indie epic fantasy community, it's not super common, generally speaking. And then book 2, Ills of Fate, I submitted back in early March. The review obviously didn't come out before the book came out, mostly because of my timing. It had nothing to do with them. It was me. But then they came out with a review. I posted it over on my Instagram. You guys can see it over there. And they also gave book 2 a get it recommendation. And so for me to see that, for both of the first 2 books in an indie epic fantasy series, to get that sort of recommendation from a reputable editorial space, it's just crazy to me. It really is crazy to me. It's so cool. It is a place to get discovered in the industry, and so to have those 2 accolades and be vouched for in that way by this major editorial review space, it does feel like I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of the product that we put together, the story that I'm telling, and I say product I put together because this is, at the end of the day, like, this is something that is a product. If I want people to read this story and I want people to get their eyes on it, I want people to experience it, I did need to create a product in order to do that. And in investing in it was worth it no matter what, period, whether or not that had happened or not. But to also have that, it means the world. And honestly, if you're going to ask me, does getting Esme's glowing Grimdark magazine review feel better? 100%. It feels better because it just means so much to have these people in this space who are bringing their experience to these stories, who have such experience with reviewing in an editorial way. It is just so lovely. And to have those 2 get it recommendations, it could mean, I'm hoping, and it could mean bigger things for the expansion of this series by way of things that I can make happen for it. Now I want to quickly, I know this is a long one, wow. I want to quickly talk about special editions as well. The special editions for Ill is the Fate will be different than the initial plan. The launch editions are changing a little bit. That's mostly because of the foiling on a naked hardback versus a dust jacket. There are issues there. Generally, they're not major, but it can be. So I wanted to avoid it overall. But that said, we are doing the hardcover, numbered and signed editions of Mercy Ills of Fate. I just got the exclusive signed pages for those numbered in editions to go and ship out tomorrow. I will actually have to sign them, right? That makes sense. So I'll probably do a live stream. Maybe I'll do a live stream tomorrow of a signing, or I'll do it this weekend. I'll do it either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. You guys will see a live stream pop up to do a signing for Mercy Ills the Fate, the signed and numbered hardcover editions through the broken binding. I also want to be transparent and say that there will be signed editions, launch editions. I will be printing. We have to see the number that I'm going to be printing. We're just going to wait on demand there. If you guys are interested in those launch editions, let me know. But what we're going to do is we are going to do the naked hardbacks differently than initially planned. We're going to keep the naked hardback as the Andrew Molesky artwork. That's staying the same. We're going to put the current artwork that is in both of these books in full color. We're going to make the map full color. And that will be the launch editions. But additionally, the new addition that we're going to have to that is we are going to do the dust jackets. Okay, we're going to do the dust jackets as they are. We might remove the blurbs on the bottom of the front, and we might change some of the coloring of the typography so it's a little bit more succinct and works. It flows better. But we will have foiling, red foiling for book 1, which is just so freaking exciting. We're gonna do red foiling on the dust jacket for book 1, hopefully on the spine here as well, and then as well as the gold foiling. Some gold foiling for book 2 in the same vein. So, man, guys, this is something that I've wanted since I wrote these books, and man, it is just crazy. So I wanted to be transparent about that. We are doing the signed numbered editions first. So there will be the dust jackets. We will have the new Andrew Molesky naked hardcover artwork in the launch editions. That'll be their own thing, but the signed and numbered hardcovers will be limited to 100. They will have their own exclusive signing pages, same formatting as the traditional books, whereas the launch editions will have unique formatting, unique chapter headers, and by unique, I mean like we're going to use some of the symbols that we have here on our regular editions. We're going to use them for a different feel in the interior of the book, which was what we're going for. And Abel Montero's cranking super hard on that. Also, his book, The Sunrise Dagger, is coming out at the end of the month of April. You guys should all check it out. Check out Crimson Fire, the first book. His sequel's coming out at the end of April, and reviews are raving right now. So go and check that out as well. The ARC sign-up has been in my newsletter, so if you guys have had my newsletter, the ARC sign-up has been available there. But man, I am just so freaking excited. That's the update, guys. You'll see it in my newsletter. I've already rambled way too long here. I appreciate you guys so much. Really super grateful for you guys helping me get here along the way. Reviews, oh my gosh, the reviews for Ill is the Fate, for Tears of the Fallen, they help so much. Over on Amazon, they go way far. They go super far. On Goodreads, they go super far. It just does mean the world that you guys are putting your thoughts there. Thank you so much. All right, guys. I'll see you next week.